10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. For the next 2 hours, we will bring you the latest pro wrestling news, in-depth analysis of all your favorite promotions from across the globe, and much, much more. We will also bring you exclusive interviews with the greatest professional wrestling personalities on the local, national, and international levels. If you want to follow the Wrestle Talk Podcast, check us out online at www.wrestletalkpodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And now, it's time for the reigning, defending, undisputed leader in pro wrestling podcast, the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. It is great to be here. I'm glad that each and every one of you can join us tonight. You know, I am just so excited. This is going to be one heck of an episode, let me tell you, and just looking forward to it. You know, as always, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you share our broadcast, you know, share it out to others, and be sure to use those hashtags, hashtag WTP and Let's Talk Wrestling. Be sure to drop us comments throughout the show. We'll be more than happy to show them. If you have a question for Joe that you would like to ask, be sure to drop it in the comments, and we'll try to get to that as well. But, you know, that's later on in the broadcast. But I know we've got somebody backstage that's going to be here with me tonight, and I know he is absolutely excited and cannot wait. He is just fanboying, let me tell you. So let's get him in here. He is the one and only Gabriel R.C., ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, come on now. We got some regular pomp and pageantry up in here. Come on, where are we at? Where's my sound effect here real quick? We got That's what I'm here for, all right? Because today, Jonathan Haas is episode 511 of the world's premier Wrestle Talk podcast once again. But it's not just me and you, Hardcore Haas. We have a very, 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 very special guest here coming in our second hour, the one and only Joe Dombrowski of MLW color commentary fame will be joining us here tonight. And Haas, fanboying is an understatement. Okay, I am ecstatic like you would not believe. I've already got my notes like a good old Peter Parker I am. I'm ready for this interview, but we got a lot to take care of, and we have a lot of high spots we got before we talk to Joe in our second half. But I know he's eager, waiting around in the green room. But we got a little bit of business to take care of before we jump into these high spots, because I know we got a lot of good ones from this past, I want to say 24 hours of wrestling. Because again, like the last show, I think we all know what we're talking about here.
Oh, obviously, you know, there is an elephant in the room that will be discussed. But, you know, before we get to all that,
elephants on our rooms.
Yeah, before we get to all that, though, we have got, you know, other things that we need to take care of before we get to that. So, with that being said, I'm in the wrong screen. There we go. Let's go ahead first off and hit our wonderful sponsors, because we obviously would not be here without consideration paid for by the following promotional. So, as always, Wrestle Talk Podcast would like to thank all of our great sponsors. We've got Retro Zone, we got Painter's Dream Productions, Independent St. Louis Hall of Fame. We got Interstate 70 Sports Media. Jeremy Carp and the guys over there absolutely killing it. Little Popeye's Designs, where you can get your very own Wrestle Talk Podcast tumbler. And then we have the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. If you don't know about it, hit up Gabe, hit up myself. We'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. Hit up Dewan, the Night Owl. Any of us will be more than happy to talk to you about it.
We're not hard to reach, and we're looking for new competition if you think you got the set, all right? Hardcore Hoss and I are getting bored, and we can't wrestle each other, all right?
And, also we have fan sponsors, if you would like to be a fan sponsor, hit one of us up, let us know. Right now we have Susie Haas as a fan sponsor. And, we'll be more than happy to tell you about fan sponsorship and get you on board with that.
We're always looking for support, guys. Any amount, whether it's just a little donation or a lot, it goes a long way here for the Wrestle Talk podcast. That helps us, stream on here. I'm not trying to sound desperate. It's just that StreamYards is very user-friendly for a lot of us. So any kind of donation, any kind of publicity you want to give us out there, we're always happy for it. And we love it. We're always happy. And speaking of the devil, we got Susie Haas in the chat here tonight. We're always glad you can make it love.
And as she says, with the stars, be sure you can send us stars, and that goes towards helping us out, helping us bring you this absolute great programming here. And so, send us stars. And as always, hashtag WTP, hashtag Let's Talk Wrestling, get us out there. So, and there's lots of big stuff coming towards the Wrestle Talk podcast. So, and actually, speaking of something coming here towards Wrestle Talk, I'm not going to go into too much of it, but as you may have seen on the Facebook page on a post that was made over the weekend, it was announced at WDWA that there is actually going to be a partnership between WDWA Wrestling and the Wrestle Talk podcast, but there'll be more information about what that partnership will entail. But I can tell you there will be a separate podcast that will be WDWA exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. So if you like the WDWA content that we bring you, be sure to tune into that podcast with myself, and I believe Gavin Jackson will be my co-host there. But more information about when that podcast will take place and all about that will be coming later, and about the partnership. But
we should have information on both sides, right? WDWA should have information on where you can hit it up, and then you should be able to find some on our page, if anything, where we can send you straight to them. So it's going to make it a lot easier for you folks. Haas, just before we move on, I feel like I got to throw one of these out there just because if he's not watching this, maybe this will work like Joe Hendry and we can get him to see where we're at right now in the program, because there's only one response appropriate for this partnership that we're hoping to see here in the future for the Wrestle Talk podcast and WDWA. Just one of these. Just one of these. Woo! I feel like we needed one. Is he here with us now? Is he in the group chat? Did it make him happen?
You never know. He may pop up from time to time, and, he may even pop up for the big official announcement, when we go more into detail on it. But, for now, we're just going to drop that basic information on you. So just keep your eyes peeled. But, one more bit of business before we get to our high spots, because it is that time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for you to remove your hats, place your hands over your heart for the singing of our national anthem. brings a tear to your eye every time, or blood to your ears. One of the two, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it never fails. But, you know, Gabe, I think we've hit all of the marks here right at the beginning. So I think it's that time. What do you think there? We don't hear you, Gabe. We're not hearing you, Gabe.
Any luck?
There he is.
There we go. I don't know what happened. Hopefully the last of our technical issues here tonight, folks. But I believe it is that time here tonight. Hardcore Hoss. I think we need to throw it up to a certain individual here. As always, here in the Wrestle Talk Podcast. The Wrestle Talk Podcast high spot segment. DJ Money. We just want to throw him up and get here onto our first segment into the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Here we go.
Mic check, mic check. Yeah. All right. Wrestle Talk Podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to High Spots, where we pop news like Flair chops. We talk shop, coming through the screens of the laptop and non-stop like I'm running speakers of blacktop. We hit hard like chair shots and backdrops. Like a clock flash, look like a belly flop. Now that's hard. We up the steam while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk Podcast. Now they know we about to start the show.
See, now you're muted.
There we go.
This is why we can't do this show solo, because nobody would tell us our mic was off.
But yes, that DJ Money absolutely hitting hard, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, as always. So, as the song says, it is time to start the show, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's go ahead and see if we can get the randomizer working. Actually, before we get into that randomizer, we got a man who's going to join us here for a few high spots and probably get into a few things FWWC. So let's bring him in. He is the one and
trying
only.
to keep him a secret.
The CEO, Dewan Mills, ladies and gentlemen.
First
How's
of
it
all,
going tonight?
I got some new headphones. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear, Chief.
See me?
We can
We
see
see
you,
you.
yes.
See
we're,
me now?
we're going to get into this in a couple minutes, all right? So don't blow it too quickly.
Let's talk about this. How you guys doing? It's been a while since I joined the show from the beginning of the program. What's happening?
Hey, you know,
Wow. I mean, in the past 24 hours or in general?
We'll just say in general, man. In general.
Well, I know Haas has definitely been making an effort to make it here tonight. You know, a lot from behind the scenes. World's getting a lot to us now. And, you know, from all the support from the back of our fans and everybody here in the Wrestle Talk Podcast family, I just want to say thank you, Haas, for being on the show here tonight. I know we can't go into too much detail, but
hey, I'm just glad that I could make it. Always love to be here, you know, and it's great hanging out with yourself and Dewan and all the Wrestle Talk Podcast family. So I'm just glad to be here.
now, before we get too deep into the high spot segment, I just have to mention this once because Dewan is the person I always like to bug about this shit when it comes to wrestling, because I'm still younger compared to everybody, but I'm old enough to where I don't get to the young demographic stuff. Dewan, did you see the Minecraft advertisement on Monday Night Raw when it was Seth Rollins versus CM Punk? There's just a creeper just lining the walls all over the arena.
My daughter and I watched Raw. I mean, technically, we watched it yesterday afternoon, which unfortunately I'm going to miss next week's Raw because I had to work. I have to work. But yeah, we did catch that. And she kind of looked at it like, Dad, that was kind of strange. I'm like, I know, kid, I know.
That was strange.
Total side note, Unrelated to the subject, The Electric State on Netflix. Amazing movie. Please check it out. I know we don't really plug Netflix because they don't give us money, but The Electric State.
Give them enough positive review. Maybe they'll shill us out. All right. Who knows?
Movie, great family movie. I love Millie. What's her name? Millie Bob Brown. Millie Brown. Millie Bobby Brown. Amazing actress. Awesome movie. Great. But they ain't paying us no money. Let's get into some real stuff.
There you go. CEO always about the business. All right. So we got a lot of questions to check here from in our randomizer tonight. Hardcore Hoss, you ready to hit it?
Let's go ahead. Let's do it. Let's see what we got popping here tonight.
Cena first. Uh-oh.
The CEO willed it. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we have a John Cena question right off the bat. And that question being, what are your thoughts on heel John Cena? Is he just a whiny bitch, as Cody Rhodes called him yesterday? Or is this the best version of John Cena? So,
all right,
who wants
Duan,
to
I was going to say, Duan, you're our guest. Do you want to take the lead on this?
You sure you want? How much time do I got? I know you guys got to get.
It's a 2-hour show. All right, we got time. It's good we got this question first because we can get the real meat and potatoes out of the way, and then we can just peck at the vegetables we got. Because let's be honest, everybody was talking about this question. So what you got?
So let's start from the gate. Number one, shout out to that Brussels crowd. My God, foreign crowds always put the States to shame. And I don't know whether, and a lot of guys say it's because there's not a lot of shows in foreign crowds. The WWE rarely goes overseas. And on top of that, shout out to us for having to kind of take the L for watching Raw at 2 p.m. afternoon. Now we know how they feel all these damn years. But shout out to that crowd. I don't quite know what the strategy was, but watching that promo, watching John Cena speak, there were some things that I liked, and there were some things that I disliked. What I liked was the fact that it really felt like he was coming from an honest place. Because let's be real, 25 years in the professional wrestling business, it's a lot of take. 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 And we know from a professional standpoint, Cena gives a lot and has given a lot in the 25 years. We know that, we get that, we understand that. That doesn't really have to be said. So, in a sense, I'm happy that he got that point across as it relates to all that he's done for this business. There's no denying that John Cena is one of the top guys in this business, best worker, yada, 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 so forth and so on. What I kind of didn't like was, as Hardcore Sis, Badass American Diva said, the whiny bitch approach for it. He could have went a different route.
I'm going to stick to the decorum here. I'm going to let you finish because I want Haas to go next, and I'm going to unpack this when it gets to me. But you finish. You finish your statement because I categorically disagree, but the floor is yours.
So he got up there and cried for like 25 minutes, and I'm trying to see the point. Like, okay, you guys did this, and you were bullying me, and like, come on, dog. Like I know they're trying something different. And here's the thing, I know people don't get too much into zodiacs, but John Cena is a Taurus. I'm a Taurus. One thing that we do not like, and you guys will probably know this if you talk to me personally, we don't like change. We like having the same formula. We like eating the same cereal. We like having the same hamburger. We like doing the same thing. Now, for 25 years, John Cena has been doing damn near the same thing. Night in, night out. The fact that he had to kind of change it up, in my mind and in my eyesight, made him look a little bit uncomfortable. Because we're not used to seeing that version of John. We're not used to seeing the whiny, the crying, the bitch, the I did this, and the fucking kid will now be a forever me, including that kid. Toxic relationship? What the hell is this? Like Dr. Phil or some shit? Like, what are we really doing? Like, it's all. I think I said this before, even before we knew it was going to happen, before John Cena turned heel. There was an opportunity for the WWE to do something great with this character going into WrestleMania. Okay? 25 years, t-shirts, armbands, hats. Let's just say we still had face John Cena. And the fact that you said, I'm not a baby face, I'm not a heel, I'm a human being. What the fuck are you, the Elephant Man? Like, come on, man, let's be real. Like, seriously. Like, the route they could have went as a babyface John Cena, in my opinion, would have been better at this point. Now, if they got something else happening, great. But it could have been amazing back and forth between Cody. I'm this, I'm that. You know, I've laid the way. I've laid the path. You know, I've accomplished all this much. And you know that I'm going to beat you at WrestleMania because blah, 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 blah. You know, it could have been good guy. But now we have bad guy John Cena. Well, quote unquote, heel John Cena. And here's what else messed me up. The man had the same damn t-shirt, the same damn hat, the same damn music, all that crap because we didn't deserve that. But for all my wrestling fans, I'm going to kind of wrap this up. You remember back in 1996 when Sting came out? When everybody thought Sting was part of the NWO, he had on the red trunks, well, the red pants and kind of like the white and red face paint. But what he didn't face the camera. And it was like, why is he not looking at the camera? Why is he not looking at us? And then we had the black and white version of Sting, which wasn't necessarily a heel or a bad guy. He was an anti-hero, if you will. So, I don't know, man. Like, that was cool, but it was just weird seeing him out of that element. So, Haas, maybe give your thoughts about it. I'm indifferent.
You know, honestly, so many people keep talking about John Cena's heel turn and John Cena going bad. But, you know, when John Cena came out 25 years ago, the fans booed him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he came out originally as a heel. Now, you look at just about everybody's retirement tour. And they tend to try to make their whole career in one tour to kind of take you from beginning to end. And so he started as a heel. So obviously at some point he was going to go heel in this tour. You know, so personally, I tend to like the John Cena heel turn. You know, half the crowd booed him as it was, even as a face, because they just like, oh, John Cena's a joke. So for him to turn heel, really, I don't think is that big of, I mean, yeah, it's a big deal, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal because half the crowd already booed him. And, you know, it is what it is. Now, as far as him saying, I'm not heel, I'm not face, I can kind of, in a way, get that because it's like I've said time and time again on the show and stuff. And I've said it, you know, at independent shows I go to, I've said it all over. It's not what you do. You can say whatever you want to the crowd. You can do what you want to the crowd. You can go out and you can tase somebody. You can go out and beat somebody with a kendo stick, you know, hit people with chairs. Do whatever you want. And it's not what you're doing, it's who you're doing it to. You know, if John Cena was doing this to just about anybody really other than Cody Rhodes, you know, would the crowd still be booing him for it? Probably not. It's just who you're doing it to. There really isn't heels and faces. I mean, yeah, they're terms they describe, you know, the good guys and bad guys. But really, there isn't heels and faces. It's just who you're doing something to. And, you know, but honestly, I tend to think I like this version of Cena better than the other versions because, you know, the fact that people thought he was a joke all this time. And I think he's showing here in the end, he's not the joke people think he was. And so personally, I like it. I think this is better than the face John Cena. So that's my opinion, Gabe.
Ross, make a quick point. The crowd
Make this point, because I got the first thing I'm ready to say. So make this point, sir.
crowd is still 50-50. So what is it going to take for us to completely hate him? And on top of that, he mentioned I've been the butt of a joke for the past 15 years. You can't see me. I've been invisible. I ate that shit. Blah, blah. Like, yeah. So, all right, my bad. I'm out. Hands off. What's up? I'm on mute. What's that?
This is where I'm at in this conversation, all right? The leash is coming off, okay? Because I am the epitome of C Nation, ladies and gentlemen. I am the man. I have been ranting about this in the last story. So the fact that this popped off as hard as it did, and I had to wait a week to talk about this, and I need both of y'all to step back, all right? This is center stage right now. This is center stage in the middle of this microphone. None of you deserve this John Cena. None of you deserve this John Cena. And you don't even deserve an iota of what you wanted him to be to begin with, all right? Because, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you this is not only the greatest heel turn that could have happened for John Cena, this is the greatest heel turn that could have happened in WWE. Point, proof, positive. Now, let me reel this back. Just because I need to kind of discourse with you two on this. All right, let me throw this out to both of you, since both of you want to acknowledge that, oh, well, he's bitching and moaning about the people who liked him. We didn't like him. People were unironically liking Cena. They were like, well, Cena wins. If I'm in that boat, that means I win. No, it doesn't. You're a loser. You're riding his success because you're a loser. That's why. And I'm saying this to everybody so they understand. He had both of the arena chanting him. Even the people who were saying, let's go Cena, he said, man, fuck all of you too. You're not my friends. You didn't help me get to this point. You hated me at one point. And I can say this for a fact. I can say this from the bottom of my heart, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going back to Solo real quick. I can say this from the bottom of my heart because I am the epitome of a Cena fan. And when he looked at that camera and said, I deserve nothing, I said, you're right, I don't. And you want to know why? The last show I was on, what was the first joke we made? This right here. Ask Skywalker, what was the first joke we made? We boiled this man's 25 years of busting his ass, doing what we told him to do, going the opposite of what we wanted him to do, pulling him in every single fucking direction, ready. And then as soon as he says, you know what? You guys told me I want to end. You don't like Cena anymore, so I think I got to hang it up. That's when we decide we want him. You want to talk about us being, or what is it, that he's being a bitch? I think the WWE universe is being a bitch. That's my stance on this entire situation. Anyways, fucking thank you, fuck you, bye. No, I needed to pop off about that. I'm sorry. That all sounded like gobbledygook for a solid minute there. But ladies and gentlemen, I need you to understand that Cena is the only man that understands how to work the crowd as hard as he did last night. Because the problem, and this is what I want to disagree with you on this, Haas, and I'm not trying to get you to catch strays on this, but you say, well, really, there's no distinguishing between heels and faces or faces and heels. Yes, there are. And when you know how to draw that line in the sand, that shows that you're a good wrestler. Because despite the fact that Cena has people on his side, he's doing what a heel is supposed to do. That is, the people that wanted to see him go heel and turn into this badass and use all this unused shit that we wanted, he says, no, you don't get that. You get heel Cena, but I'm going to make you hate this heel Cena like you're supposed to. And everybody goes, oh, I don't know. I kind of like Cena no matter what he does. He doesn't give a fuck. You're not allowed to like Cena either. He's allowed to like Cena because he's Cena. He's got the number one spot to WrestleMania, and he knows it. And the worst part is, we know he wins. We know he wins, and there is nothing scarier than that. All right, that's my piece. I'm out.
But let me ask you this, though. If Cena comes out at WrestleMania, and no matter whether he wins or loses, let's say he turns around and, Rock's standing there, and Rock's like, see, I took you here. I did this for you or whatever, something of that nature. And Cena turns around and cold cocks the Rock and I didn't need you to do this. Is the crowd going to cheer Cena for it? Probably.
I don't want them to do that because that doesn't make sense in context.
I'm not saying that they're going to do it. I'm just giving the example.
Well,
Can I
ask you
they're probably
why
going to
would
cheer
they
him.
why would they cheer him? Because they hate Rock more? Does that invalidate everything that Cena's done up to this point? Or does this become we have to boo him more because Cena's the bigger threat? Like, have you guys ever seen, okay, this is a horrible example because we're talking about wrestling here. You guys ever seen Megamind? DreamWorks movie, Will Ferrell? You've seen it, Dwan? All right, so you can back me up on this. Remember how they took care of Megamind and he was like, oh, we're saved. And he's like, I wouldn't say saved. I'd say under new management. Is that how we're supposed to look at Cena if he cold clocks Rock? Or is he supposed to be, I don't think he can do a 180. And if I don't think he can, I don't want him to. I don't want him to cold clock Rock because it doesn't make any sense.
But my point is, he could do that and get cheered for it and still look at the crowd and be like, shut up. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve me. You don't deserve anything.
I think if people cheer him, they're going to be more confused than anything. Sorry, I'm not trying to talk over you.
But, that's just what I mean, though, by there's no good guy. There's no heels, no face. It's just who they're doing it to. He could come out and do something to somebody that the crowd dislikes or the crowd hates, and they're going to cheer Cena for it. Even though Cena's going to sit there and spit in their face and tell them you're trash, they're still going to cheer him for it. Because
I don't think they will.
You did that to somebody I absolutely hate. I mean, that's just the way I see it. I've seen so many times that, somebody's done something and the crowd's booed them for it and the crowd's ridiculed them for it and then come right back out. But then come right back out and done it to somebody else that the crowd disliked and the crowd's cheered him for it. And it's like,
the only reason I disagree is because even though the crowd cheered for him last night, he got them to regret that decision in a minute. That little kid in the front row, that little short tyke wearing everything Cena heel to toe, caught the fattest of strays last night for cheering this man. You don't think he's going to make people be like, okay, you're going to fucking cheer me? That's fine. We can do this all night. I'll try and cheer me again. I think it's going to be a dare. That's my whole thing. But I can see where you're coming from.
You know what Mad Max Morrison told me one time the difference is between a heel and a face?
What's that?
A heel's the one that looks at you and goes like that. The face goes like that. It's just the finger you hold up.
I definitely think there's some wiggle room in the discussion, only because what did Steve Austin used to do?
Well, and Austin, he's just a totally different animal. He's a different animal altogether. Yeah, but that's the best way Mad Max Morrison, and shout out to him. That's the best way he described it to me one time. Is I asked him, do you prefer being a heel or a face? And he told me, he said, you know what the difference is between a heel and a face? And I said, what's that? And he says, when I walk out as a heel, I'm going to look right at you in the face and go like this. When I come out as the face, I'm going to look at you and go like that.
So if he gets the crowd split down the middle like he did in Brussels last night, does Cena come out like this?
Yeah,
Does he just do this? Just to the whole crowd.
Here's what I will say. It is and I was kind of worried about the build-up for WrestleMania because last year's build-up was effing insane. Like going into WrestleMania 40, the storyline, Cody, Roman, all that great stuff was crazy. This year I was like, okay, what we really going to do? I mean, all right, we got Jey Uso, which, by the way, thank God Jey didn't break his damn back. Good Lord, mercy.
You saw that, right? That clip of him busting his ass off the tumble?
Yeah, like, come on now. And here's the worst part. I'm afraid little things like that, because think of it. As a man who represents WWE as a champion, just like we do here in the FWWC, there's a certain decorum, there's certain standards. There's just things that you have to do and represent to be champion. And little stuff like that, I mean, you got the title. What you gonna do? Fall over your damn feet and trip over? Like, like you have to have a certain precision about yourself. And Jay's cool, it ain't gonna change nothing. But just tighten up a little bit. That's all I'll say. Just tighten up a little bit. Don't kill yourself.
Especially because a lot of people were sour about him winning the Rumble to begin with. So he's getting that he's getting that microscope put on him, and it's like you got to be spotless going to Mania, so that way, even if people retroactively say, "Oh, this was a stupid decision," you can at least say that you did good things up to that stupid decision. But if you keep making mistakes like this, it's going to pile up, and everybody who's on your side, their patience is slowly going to run out. So I definitely agree with you on that, because I'm like, I like Jay, but him busting his ass like that isn't going to do him any favors, like at all.
Really not. So here's the deal, guys. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to get into some really, really brief FWWC stuff. Now, unfortunately, because the WWE decided to go overseas for the next 2 gosh darn weeks, which we've seen them go overseas for a while. If you guys don't know, we are the World's Premier Fantasy Wrestling Group, the FWWC, that is the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter, on Facebook, on Twitter. You can find on all social media avenues. So, unfortunately, our challenges are going to be put on hold until they come back to the States. As you guys know, we are an amazing e-fed. You know how e-feds work, but our e-feds are different. Our group is different. You can do promos, you can dress as characters, you can be yourself, you can be somebody else, you can put on face paint, you can wear masks, you can do whatever you want to do, and we have actual championships, legit Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Championship, so let's say Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter Championship in the group. So, unfortunately, our live challenges are going to be put on hold until April 7th, but that does not mean activity isn't king. As you know, yours truly will be involved in Universe Mania 11. That is right. I'm going one-on-one with Mr. Marcus Mayhem. Now, Mayhem says I'm old. Mayhem says I'm washed up. Mayhem says that my knees are bad. But as you guys know, I've been out there running. I've been out there grinding. I've been out there making it happen. And again, this isn't a grudge match. I have no beef with Mayhem, nothing of that nature. Like I said, this is Big Brother talking to Little Brother. This is yours truly, the CEO, who just got on the main roster. Shout out to you, Hoss, for that. And it's going to be a great match, as there are other great matches on the Universe Mania 11 card, which we'll get to here in a few weeks. We still got time. You know, WrestleMania ain't until April 29th and 20th. Universe Mania ain't until April 19th and 20th. We still got a little bit of time. But what I do want to announce is this. Now, for Universe Mania 11, as it is in tradition, every title match will be a stipulation match. Now, how we decide the stipulation last year was kind of different, but we're going to do it great this year. So, the 2 Mondays, I might do Monday, Friday, but as it stands right now, the 2 Mondays before Universe Mania 11, the champions are going to decide who is going to go against their opponent in a series of matches. The first night, we're going to have, I believe it's going to be the International Champion, the Tag Team titles, and the Hardcore title. That involves you, Hawk. You get to pick the opponent for your opponent. Now, if that opponent wins, or should I say, if your opponent wins, they have to win right out, no ties, no nothing like that, then your opponent gets to pick the stipulation for their match at Universe Mania 11. However, if they lose, then you, the champion, this has something to do with you also, Gabriel Arsene, you get to pick the stipulation for your match at Universe Mania 11. And we're going to have a series of 6 matches. The first 3 is going to go down, I want to say, whichever April, the 2 Mondays before Universe Mania. Like I said, the International Championship, the Tag Team Championships, and the Hardcore Championships. And then the following week, we'll have the Spartan Star Championship, we'll have the World Warriors Heart Championship, and the World Heavyweight Championship. Again, the champions will pick an opponent for their opponent. If the opponent wins, or should I say if their opponent wins the match right out, no ties, no nothing of that nature, they have to beat whatever opponent is picked for them or in front of them, they get to pick the stipulation for that title match at Universe Mania 11. If they lose, then the champion gets to pick the stipulation for their match at Universe Mania 11. So far, that's all I got, and it's going to be a great series of matches, man. Universe Mania season is always hot. So, Hardcore Hoss, Warriors Heart Champion Gabriel Arsene, you got a lot to think about. We got time to go over some stuff. We got a little bit of time. You know, I kind of like this little, break, but I'm still pumping iron. I'm still getting busy. I'm still getting ready because I got a match. I don't know what my opponent's doing. I don't know what Mayhem's doing. He's probably going to get on there and put some promo about, I'm going to need some Bengay and some calamine lotion or whatever the hell I need to get myself together. But I'm going to be ready for my match.
Put the RGB lights away and put the Mortal Kombat down and start actually doing some training, okay? I'm willing to throw that shade out there to Marcus Mayhem. You're talking a lot of smack for a man who just got out of the FED, all right? He's the CEO for a reason. And please just because you were repping the Alex, just because we're talking to MLW, Joe Dombrowski here today, I got to rep the Alex Kane hoodie that you had on. You better drop this hoe on his neck, all right? Can you make that promise to me on the air here?
I got you, man. I'm going to do my best, man. Like I said, it ain't like I ain't been working, My bad, Hoss. I apologize. I kind of had to put Lucha in his place. But shout out to you, Lucha, for no selling your injury. Get your ass off the damn comments and get your ass off here. Yeah, that's why I had a problem. I don't mean to go on rants, but damn. Quit fucking non-selling, Lucha. That's the problem why your ass is in FED right now. You're supposed to be injured. I hit you with a hammer. You ain't supposed to be in the damn comments on the page and comment on everybody's shit. You're supposed to be wrapped up with your hair wrapped around, but that doesn't make any sense when your ass is commenting on every damn thing in the page. Sell the shit right. You would get tagged in the ring for real if you did non-sell in the storyline or whatever. That's why the hell your ass is still in FED. Sell the damn injury. Damn it. Give it 2 or 3 weeks. You ain't got to comment on everything. Love you though, but damn it, do it right. Shit. Damn.
Okay. Roll it back. Roll it back, CEO. Roll it back. Roll it back. Roll it back. All right. We got, one more out there. One more for you. There we go. All right.
Good Lord. I literally like that. That was the whole point, man. His ass is comment every day. Hey, good luck. Go for it. Motherfucker, you supposed to be concussed. How the hell you going to be able to type if your ass is dead down? Hoss, that's your problem now, dog. I'm done ranting. I'm sorry. It's frustrating. Frustrating as hell. Jesus Christ. But I say it, and I say it because I love people. I'm not saying to be a dick. I'm not saying to be an asshole. I've been in this game for 10 plus years. I've been around professional wrestling for 20 plus years. There's just certain stuff you got to do to make the train flow, and you can't keep doing the same shit if you want to advance. Damn it. So that's all I got, fellas. I've done enough ranting. I've done enough raving. Is there any more questions for me before I can tail up out of here?
When's the next time we can see you, bro? We always love to have you on the program.
Oh, I'll be on whenever you guys are back on. I'll be on. It's UMC season, so I got to promote it. I got to be here all day.
Always. All right. What about you, Hoss? Any last questions for Mr. CEO before we see him out?
Well, I will say though that the FED will be back in action. They will be seen. I believe it's actually the same as night 1 of Universe Mania. There will be an FED pay-per-view. The name will be released shortly. I've got to come up with a name for it. But yeah, we are going to have a pay-per-view, and I'm already working on some matches, already trying to build a few things. So keep your eyes out for that.
My bad, y'all. I kind of got hyper. Like seriously, man, goddamn. Come on, man.
I just wanted to make sure I had the right sound effects for it. All right, you can rant as much as you want. I just got to hit my cues so that it's funny. Right? So people are like, all right, this is a segment. He's not actually that pissed.
I'm good. You guys have a great night. I'm getting the hell out of here, man. Peace. CEO out.
Take it easy, man.
Peace.
Mr. Dewan Mills, ladies and gentlemen. Dude, we're already rocking and rolling, man. 42 minutes. We're crushing it right now, ladies and gentlemen. And that was just the first question. Me and him got this hyped, and we're only 40 minutes in. Like, think about that. All right.
We got plenty more to talk about.
So you ready to jump into this next question, Hardcore Hoss?
Let's do it.
All righty. Let's hit that randomizer.
Sorry, I'm in the wrong screen again. Okay.
Got a big one here.
There we go. All right.
Takes a second to load.
So reports speculate that WWE has not renewed Shinsuke Nakamura's contract. Do you believe he will sign with another company?
Now, did you want to take the reins on this, or should I cool off a little bit by going first?
Here, I'll go ahead and I'll say yes. I definitely think Shinsuke signs with another company if he's not renewed by WWE. Shinsuke actually is a really good talent. I mean, you've seen him already at Noah, even while he was under contract with WWE. And, you've seen him in other places. And so I think that Shinsuke it will be a big free agent. And I think he'll have people left and right looking to sign him. So I think that he'll have absolutely no problem getting on anywhere else. Um, and I definitely look for him to go elsewhere if
So
WWE doesn't sign it.
do you think he still has gas in the tank? Not necessarily that he's run down. I'm just saying, do you think Shinsuke wants to keep going? Like, do you potentially see him just being like, hey, you know what, I'm going to hang it up for a couple of years, maybe come back later?
I think he still wants to go. I really do. And I believe he's got some left. And Susie seems to think that AEW will pick him up. I do believe they would be interested in him. I don't think that would be the place for him.
I don't know if Shinsuke Nakamura is interested in AEW.
That's I don't think that's the place for him. I really don't. I could see him back in New Japan again. I could see him.
That's actually where I want him to end up most. Yeah, that Noah would be interesting only because Kenta just got back there. So it'd be really interesting if he just kind of dipped and said, you know what, let me try Noah for a little bit. I haven't wrestled here. He's filling out the bingo card. He's like, where haven't I wrestled yet? Noah, let's go there.
Well, he may not have had a full contract with Noah, but remember, he just did a match back at the beginning of the year with Noah.
He did. I'm just saying, like, if he could stay there long enough to do something like really substantial or like be their main eventer with Kent. I mean, shit, I would pay so much money for that. Oh my God. Just the thought of it. No, but admittedly, I think I would want him mostly in New Japan. I think if he came back with the well that they have right now, and it's not bad. It's like it's just a lot of the main place talent that was there when Shinsuke left isn't there anymore. So it's like, he was feuding with Tanahashi and Okada and these are bad examples. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And, a lot of those people aren't still wrestling there or prepared to finish wrestling. Minoru Suzuki is gone. Like a lot of the people from the original Bullet Club are gone. AJ Styles gone. So it's like we have a lot of potential matchups that we haven't seen. And I think New Japan really benefits from having a veteran of his level. Because it's like you have a former wrestler in the sense that you have somebody who's been doing New Japan for a really long time, king of strong style. Like that comes in handy at this time and age when there's a lot of these dudes and they're younger and they still need to learn something. And it helps them build their roster a little bit. Because aside from Hiroki Goto and Zack Sabre Jr., we don't have a whole lot of world champions in the mix right now. At least none that are proven as much as Shinsuke is. So I hope he goes to New Japan. I really hope he doesn't go to AEW. I don't hate AEW. They have Okada, and I'm like, if you don't know what to do with him, then you don't need another guy to fall to the wayside too, especially somebody like Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate AEW. I don't watch it as much as I once did. But I don't hate AEW. But I don't think they know how to use a lot of the talent that they get. And I think they see big name talent become available and they grab onto them. And when they grab onto them, they give them that push and they push and they push and they push. And then another big name talent becomes available and they reach out and they grab that one and they forget about the one that they've been pushing and they forget about using them. And so I personally believe that I'm sorry, something else caught my attention. I personally believe that they tend to not know how to use a lot of big name talent that they get. So, that's just my thing.
I mean, I agree. I can't really. I guess it's also just because him leaving WWE so soon. Like, I don't mind when AEW signs people. I don't like when they sign them immediately after they get fired. I feel like they just kind of throw the contract at them and they're like, quick, grab them. All right, what do we do with them? I don't know.
yeah, like I say, I just don't see him fitting in at AEW, at least not very long. I mean, yeah, they got a few people that they could match him up against. So I think they could have a few good matches, but I honestly don't think that he'd last there long.
I guess it's all up to him at the end of the day. I mean, for all we know, he could show up in Mexico. Like it's sort of at that point.
So shout out, thanks for following us. We really appreciate it. We're happy to have you here and joining us on our Twitch feed there. So thanks for joining us there.
Be sure to check us out on all of our socials, guys. We're here on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, X. You're never too far from the Wrestle Talk podcast. But with all that taken care of, you ready for the next question, Hardcore Hoss?
Definitely. Let's go ahead and hit our next question here, and let's see what the randomizer has for us this time. If I can find that, there it is. Start button. And our next question will be so we're going to talk about WWE and TNA. So the actual question for it: who's benefiting most from the TNA WWE crossover matches? So, all right, I started off the last one. Do you want to start this one off here, Gabe, or do you want me to take?
I don't mind taking the reins here. I mean, I got a lot to say, honestly, just because I think it's pretty good. You ask me who's benefiting the most from these crossover matches. The fans are. The fans are the ones benefiting the most from these. Just because it's been a lot. Like, it's almost like it's commonplace now. Like, when we hear about it, we're like, oh, rad, cool. The Hardy Boys are coming to NXT. Oh, the NXT champs, tag team champs are going to TNA. Obafemi shows up. Moose shows up. We have matches between people. Like, it's really too close to call because both sides are getting something out of it for the most part. I haven't followed up too much on it, but I know like that we had the match between, was it Alexis King and Moose? And it's like for them to give a big substantial loss to Alexis King, who was currently undefeated in his hometown, to somebody like the X Division champion Moose, it definitely adds some credence. But then I feel like that balances out because Obafemi jumped his ass. So it's like, I don't really know how you constitute it until they do like a big pay-per-view where they keep track and see who actually wins. But honestly, I'll be saying that I think TNA is getting more out of this than anything. I think for WWE, it's like extra brownie points for the nerdy fans like us who know who TNA is and we keep up with that. But like the average WWE or NXT fan is going to be like, yo, who are the Rascals? What? Like, who are these dudes? Joe Hendry, who's that? The people who want to pretend like they don't know. But in my opinion, I think TNA is actually benefiting from it more because they're getting that name brand of, WWE characters showing up on their talent and being like, oh my God, why are they here? Where's here? So, I mean, that's just me. What?
Honestly, in my opinion, like you said, the fans are honestly the biggest winners out of it all. But I don't believe there's anybody who actually loses in this deal. I mean, you look at it, you've got the fans getting all this great entertainment. And then you've got TNA, who is getting more exposure than what they normally would. So, then you have WWE, who they're actually getting some pretty good talent. And in some cases, such as they just had with the Hardy Boys, you are getting, um, some previous talent that comes back that the fans are absolutely loving being able to see back in a WWE ring, and they're not having to pay them WWE rates to do it. They're paying them the TNA rates. So, hey, that's a win for WWE right there, because they're bringing in this talent at a cheaper rate than what they would pay them. So they're saving money. And, so I think everybody's winning all the way around. I really don't see a
Yeah,
loser
but
in that.
you got a point when WWE is winning where it counts. that they're getting the exposure and less at a bargain. So
well, but look at the exposure that TNA is getting out of it too. I mean, that's huge for them, because like you said, there's a lot of these people like let's just say Moose, for instance. There's a lot of people who don't know who Moose is. Now, because I've watched TNA, yeah, I know who Moose is. Because Moose has been at WDWA, I know who Moose is. But there are people who, until he stepped in that ring, with WWE, nobody knew who Moose was, and even Joe Hendry, there's people who didn't know who Joe Hendry was when he stepped into NXT. So TNA is getting a lot of exposure out of this and getting a big push for their product that, basically, I'm sure they're not having to pay the rate that somebody else would have to pay to get the exposure from WWE. So, I mean, it really goes hand in hand on both sides there. And like we said, the whole fans, all the fans, the fan base itself is who is ultimately winning, because they are getting this product and they're getting exposure to the TNA product and exposure to these other wrestlers that, I mean, let's face it, a lot of them, they probably are going to end up on the WWE roster one day. Whenever their contracts are up with TNA, they're probably going to end up WWE. I mean,
well, and this crossover allows them the potential to get to talk to those people. They're basically helping them get those numbers, like to just be like, hey, by the way, when you're done here, like,
right. And I'm sure that there's a clause in there, that they can't try to poach them while they're under contract and over here at the show.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a clause there, but at the same time, it's just, they're looking at this as a tryout. They have to be. And, maybe not so much for the Hardy Boys, but when they brought Joe Hendry over, it was a tryout. They want to see how Joe Hendry worked in WWE. When they brought over Moose, they wanted to see how Moose worked in WWE. So, and I mean, there's already been some that have crossed over from TNA to WWE. So I think it's just going to be, I think it's going to be something that we see more of in the future, as far as them crossing from one to the other. And I think it's a good thing. And at the same time, I'm sure that there are people who have seen these people and find out that they're TNA. And like, I'm sure there's some people that watched the matches that Moose was in and says, hey, I want to see more of that guy. And so now they're going to go check out TNA. Do I think their numbers are going to absolutely skyrocket because of it? No, I don't think that. But I do think that they're going to see at least a slight rise in their numbers over that. And I mean, not just him, but, others that may not have known that the Hardy Boys were in TNA. Now you're going to have some of the Hardy's fans go, oh, I can watch them over there. And they're going to go watch them. So I think it's a win for everybody.
All righty. Well, we're getting through a lot of these questions pretty easily. We're about hitting our second hour here in the Wrestle Talk podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So as always, just a reminder, be sure to share that hashtag WTP, Let's Talk Wrestling. Be sure to give us your thoughts on any of the questions you've heard here today. And, give us your thoughts or hit us up if you guys want to be on the next show. We're always looking for standouts.
So, yeah, definitely. And, like we say, if you have a question, drop it in the comments. We'll be more than happy to address any questions that you may have. And if you have a question for our guest tonight, who should be joining us here shortly, be sure to drop them in the comments, and we'll be more than happy to throw them out there because, yes, we may be the ones on screen. We may be the ones that you guys are watching, but, this show's about you guys. It really is. And we do this for you. And so we definitely value your input. So be sure to go ahead and drop it and let us know. But let's go ahead and see if we can get another question here.
Alrighty.
So we got Lex Luger going in the Hall of Fame. And the question is, I've seen a lot of discussion surrounding inducting Lex Luger in the WWE Hall of Fame. Do you believe Lex is worthy of induction into the Hall of Fame?
Oh my God. It's fighting us. Did you want to take the reins on this one, Haas? Because I'll be honest, I have my opinions on this question, but they're not all that interesting.
Honestly, I've heard a lot of people who have said, well, I don't think Lex Luger should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Most of his success was in WCW. He didn't have a whole lot of success in WWE. And yeah, I mean, most of his success probably was in WCW. But when WWE bought out WCW, they bought Lex Luger's success right along with it. And, they bought his records and his history and everything. So when it comes down to it, now that Beans WWE owns WCW, and he did work in WWE for a time, I think that, yeah, he does deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame for it. WCW and WWE are the same people now. They may not have been back then, but, that ratings war, he was a part of it. And so he's part of the WWE's success, no matter how you look at it. And so I think they are right in putting him in the Hall of Fame. There's several people I think deserve to be in the Hall of Fame that aren't there, but that's a whole different question. So, what's your thoughts, Gabe?
Well, I think a lot of the discourse about this isn't necessarily that, well, he was mostly a WCW guy versus a WWE guy. I think a lot of the issue stems from the fact about that Dark Side of the Ring episode where, him and Miss Elizabeth, what had happened to them all those years ago. So I think that's the point of contention for a lot of people is do they think that somebody like Lex Luger is able to go into the Hall of Fame for something like that? And I don't want to try and make a stance on this on the air or whatever, but in my humble opinion, I think somebody like him can be shown forgiveness in a sense like this. I think, especially because of the turn that Luger's taken, I don't know if you guys have actually kept up with what's been going on in his life. I mean, I don't know him personally, but, I like to keep up on what's happening with a lot of wrestling legends to make sure, hey, are they still walking? Because this business will kill you. And to see where he's at now, to where he's doing a lot better and he's in the twilight of his life, and hopefully to give him something like this is sort of a lifetime achievement for somebody who gave their life for this business in a very important way. I think it's the right decision. I think he is worthy of being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think the momentary moments, that is 2 words, the moments of success he's had in the world of professional wrestling, as fleeting or as long as they were, absolutely warrant. And let's be real here, especially for the WWE Hall of Fame, not to try and be like, oh, well, they need to put people in, but like the standards for both criteria of people who have joined in terms of their work that they've done in WWE versus their actual accomplishments is not a high bar to clear. I mean, we put the Great Muta in and Bull Nakano, and it's like, I know both of them had touched either in WCW or early WWF, but let's be real here, a majority of their portfolio was not in WWE. So like, if we're going to hold Luger to that standard, I don't know what standard we're trying to hold with that, in my honest opinion. But
yeah, definitely. I mean, but even the stuff that was in the Dark Side of the Ring, I'm not saying I agree with stuff that they brought out in Dark Side of the Ring, but at the same time, some of the stuff they brought out, it's stuff that happened behind closed doors, and we only got one part of the story. We don't necessarily know the whole story, and there could be more to it. There could be, and there's some things I know he's been accused of that has never been proven. And, so can you hold that type stuff against him? I mean, I know they are some other people, but I don't think you can hold it against him if you can't prove it.
I try not to get too crazy about it. I know Daddy P isn't here, but I'm like, I'm not perfect and the Lord forgives. So that's sort of where I'm in it as far as it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And, and I mean, Susie brings up, doesn't the Miss Elizabeth thing with Lex Luger compare to Benoit? And there again, you can't prove it. And even with Benoit, there has been questions raised over the years. Did he do what he was accused of doing? So, I mean, it's something that can't be proved, and I don't think you can hold it against him. And I honestly think Benoit should be in the Hall of Fame. It's just one of those things. But, that's just my opinion. And to each their own, I guess.
All right. So with that taken care of, I guess I want to ask if you have one of these in you, just because it's a bit of a non-tradition. We tried doing it the last time when I was here with Luke, but unfortunately we weren't able to. But I was wondering, since we have a new graphic for it, if we wanted to try it again this time. I got the buttons working this time. But Hardcore Haas, I have one question for you. Would you do me the honors of joining Gabrielle Arsene in the Wrestle Talk Podcast Shoot and Shout segment?
Why not? Let's give it a try.
It worked that time, finally. So for the uninitiated, welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast Shoot and Shout segment. This is a little special ditty we have here in the Wrestle Talk Podcast where we here get to shoot on anything that's bugging us, whether it's in the world of professional wrestling, the world around us, people that we hate at our jobs, people that we hate when we drive, things that we hate in general, the color of the sky, flowers, people smiling, just happiness in general. I could go on and on about this. But yes, the Shoot and Shout segment is our own dedicated spot here in the Wrestle Talk podcast for us to rant and rave about whatever it is we feel like ranting about here tonight. So I feel like I did a number during the John Cena portion of the podcast. So I don't know if I have to touch too much. Maybe I'll try to reload my clip, or maybe I'll just talk about it again, because I honestly have plenty more to say. But to start us off, just because I don't know how long it's going to take us, Haas, is there anything that's been bothering you here at any time here in the Wrestle Talk podcast?
You know, and honestly, since this doesn't have to be within the Wrestle Talk podcast, one thing that absolutely drives me crazy is people who have to interject their opinion on things that have absolutely no business interjecting their opinion on. You know, if I'm trying to figure out, I know we don't have to be PG or anything here, but when it comes down to it, if you don't have business being in it, shut up and keep your mouth out of it, you know. And it's just people decide to interject their opinions and interject their uneducated opinions where they don't belong and make things a lot harder for a lot of other people. So just keep your mouth out of things that don't belong in. So that's mine.
All right. I think spicing up a little bit with that, but I think I got it beat. I really don't. No, I'm just ranting about the people at work again. I could probably do this every single Shoot and Shout segment until my job gets a lot easier, or until I'm getting paid John Cena amounts of money for pissing people off with a microphone. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am a salesperson, and I operate primarily out of Sam's Club and BJ's, which is a special level of hell where people spend money to shop in a warehouse, but they still think they're better than you. So they want to make it known through their behavior and through their body language and making sure that they bother you at every opportunity when you're just doing your job. So from the bottom of my heart, with the biggest concoction of vitriol that I can stir in my human spirit, from Gabriel Arsene and the Wrestle Talk podcast. No, I'm not on behalf on you guys, but from Gabriel Arsene, fuck all of you. No, this is a horrible way to start this. I'm sorry. But I don't have good feelings towards the people that I work around at work. Lots of old people telling me what I'm doing wrong. It's horrible.
All right. Well, with that being said, we've had a good discussion, you know, on things going with wrestling, and there's plenty more topics we could discuss, but you know, unfortunately, I think we're running short on time. You know, maybe we will pick a topic and see what our guest tonight has to think about it. You never know. But
so you don't got to beat around the bush. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know you were waiting very patiently for our esteemed guest to make it here tonight. We love our high spots. We love our shoot and shop. But now it's time for the real meat and potatoes in the second hour of the Wrestle Talk podcast. A guest that I am very, very excited to do the honors of introducing here. If you'd let me, Haas, as the resident MLW fanboy here, I just want to try and drum this up if we're able to.
Be my guest.
Drum roll. I'm not sure if we have it down here. There we go. The one, the only color commentator of League Wrestling, making his Wrestle Talk podcast debut, the one, the only Joe Dombrowski.
I've got entrance music too. Okay, I'm down with this. I appreciate that welcome. I appreciate how long you held the note. I'm impressed by that. You have good lung capacity. I don't know how I can top what I just walked in on. You guys throwing shade at pretty much everybody and everything in the entire known universe. But I will do my best to keep up with you guys. Thank you for having me.
Joe, I could just say on behalf of everybody here, thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the compliment. Holding notes like that, it's not hard for me. Like I said, it's directed at those old people at the Sam's Club. I kid. But it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man.
Pleasure to be here. I appreciate the platform, guys.
Yeah, we are happy to have you join us, and we're glad we could get this rescheduled. We know that our viewers may have noticed that we had this scheduled once before, and things happened, and we had to reschedule it. So we're glad we could get this rescheduled and get you in here, and it's a pleasure to get to talk to you. But I know Gabe is just jumping in his seat over there. Just can't wait to talk. And so I'm going to go ahead and let him start off.
I apologize to take control of the conversation, Joe. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say we're prepared this time around because Gabriel Arsen made sure he brought his one-of-a-kind MLW drawstring bag. And as always, I never go to bed without it. Even though I do not approve of these individuals, you can't admit this is some pretty sick merch here, ladies and gentlemen. Our very own Contra flag. And I believe I have my hat somewhere. I threw it earlier. But my CMML or CMLL, Consejo de Muña de Lucha Libre. So now I'm ready to lock in. But I thought it would be getting the fanboy out of the way so we could really jump into the interview and get to know Joe Dombrowski, behind the scenes, so to speak. Or at least the man, not just the man we see on TV or on Wrestle Talk.
You've covered every base so far, and I would not sleep with that flag. It would give me nightmares. I would probably wet myself. But everything else I'm on board with. You pronounce CMLL so beautifully. I'm a little jealous of it. But I am at your service. Please, direct, guide, produce. This is your vision.
Oh, well, thank you. Night Owl usually gives me grief if I don't say it right. He grilled me because I only knew the acronym, but I didn't know what the actual thing stood for. So I guess just to throw an easy softball, just so we can kind of get the ball, rolling here. What's a day in the life of Joe Dombrowski? How do you start your day off, or just what do we need to know?
Well, I think the coolest thing about being in wrestling is every day's different. You don't know who you're going to hear from. You don't know what opportunities are going to fall in front of you. You don't know what weird twists and turns they're going to take. Today, I had a great phone call with B. Brian Blair discussing Cauliflower Alley Club. A few days ago, I was texting with Violent J of the Insane Clown Posse talking about the next tour. That's the beauty of pro wrestling, is whether I'm on the road or whether I'm at home, everything is an adventure, and everything you really don't know where the day is going to take you. I try to have a fair balance in my life between the just hustle and bustle of chaos. And, as you guys can tell, you talked about rescheduling a moment ago. You realize that I have lost control of my life many years ago. I have very little control. I don't say no to a lot of offers because I love the opportunity to get out and meet people and work and do my thing. But I try to combine the hermit part of my personality that likes to be alone and likes to be isolated and likes to just be left to breathe and recharge his batteries, with the very go-getter part of my personality, which is the one that's organizing travel and setting up bookings and working on projects at home. And I do so much with old school footage, and I do so much with, keeping DVD products alive and keeping physical media out there, and just the networking aspect of it. So what happens on a typical day? I don't know if any of my days are typical, but I know I enjoy them, and I'm always looking forward to what's next.
Absolutely. So Then I guess for somebody uninitiated like me, so as I'm known here in the Wrestle Talk podcast, I am the young lion with the old soul. I have a good understanding of most things in wrestling, but I'm really trying to get my foot into the door. So obviously, I only really have a surface level understanding about a lot of things in wrestling, especially when it comes to color commentating. So I have to ask, what's a common misconception you get about being a color commentator? And what would you say is the hardest part as well?
Well, I mean, I think those questions go hand in hand because a lot of the misconceptions go down to it's easy, or you just sit there and recite moves, and that's not what it's about. And whether I'm doing play-by-play, whether I'm doing color analyst, whether I'm, some people I work with, we kind of just trade off and leave those lines ambiguous on purpose. Rich Bocchini, I do that with a lot. But regardless, our primary goal is to be storytellers. And we are there to take what you're looking at and, as Jim Ross would say, be the lyrics to their music. And it's not just calling a suplex. It's why. Why are they doing that move? What is the effect of that move? What does it hurt? What's the goal? What happened last week that got us here? And especially when you get up to higher production level television like Major League Wrestling, there's a lot of traffic as well. There's a lot of graphics, there's commercials, there's backstage segments, there's sponsor reads, there is a lot going on around you that has really very little to do with calling a match, but you need to prioritize that because it's equally, if not sometimes more important than calling of that match. So I've worked with so many wrestlers who have done guest spots with me who would say later, I had no idea how hard this was. I don't know how you guys do this for 3 or 4 hours. And there's production people in your ear and you got to stay focused. But I've been very fortunate enough to be able to gradually learn over 22 years. And, from the independence where it's a lot more just, do what feels right. There's not a lot of oversight, to obviously the bigger end productions where, a Court Bauer or a Conan in AAA or somebody like that would have a more set vision of what they want to get across. And you've got to hit your marks. I've been very fortunate to, as my career grows and my opportunity grows, I've been able to stay motivated and stay driven to grow as a broadcaster too, where I hope I'm doing my best work yet, and still the best is yet to come.
Fantastic. I just want to throw this out there too, only because I'm slowly getting into the habit of it. Like I said, I work with a microphone at work. So, and you had mentioned I had pretty good on the draw earlier. Where exactly did you find, not to call this out, so to speak, but where did you find the Joe Dombrowski voice? Like, everybody has that cadence, that delivery. You think of your Joey Styles, you think of your, oh my God, you think of Jim Ross. It's always the, good God Almighty, he's broken in half. So, and then in my opinion, I like Mauro Ranallo. So I always think of, ain't no party like an uppercut party because an uppercut party don't stop. So I guess I have to ask, where did you find your voice in amongst all these voices for color commentators?
I think my voice in a lot of ways is an amalgamation of all of them. Because I grew up watching, almost everybody that you just mentioned. And certainly the ones I didn't grow up watching, I've heard a lot since. When I started, I made a lot of the same mistakes people make in ring. And because I wasn't in the ring, though, I wasn't necessarily being watched to have those mistakes pointed out to me. I kind of had to self-police, but I was nervous. I spoke too fast. I tried to force the moments. I didn't really feel it. I didn't let things breathe. A lot of things you hear critiques about younger wrestlers because, once they get in the ring and their nervous energy's going and their adrenaline's up, they just boom, 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 boom. A lot of that was me. And I always made it a point to be my own worst critic. And to this day, there are a lot of broadcasts I'm very proud of. I don't think I've ever, hit the home run. I've never done a perfect broadcast, and I don't know if it's physically possible to, but you always strive to attain that. So as time went on, I would be my own worst critic. And whether it's cadence, whether it's vocabulary, whether it is timing, whatever the case is, okay, I'm talking about AJ Styles right now, but Christopher Daniels is on the screen. That makes no sense. Just little things like that to be able to get into the weeds helped me a lot. And being able to talk to mentors like a Kevin Kelly or somebody like that, Rich Bocchini, on down the line, helped me so much. But it was evolution. I think you could listen to my stuff from 20 years ago. It sounds nothing like what I do now. 5 or 7 years ago, you'll hear some similarities, but I don't think it's quite that same smoothness and quite that same polish. And again, the stuff I'm doing now, hopefully in 3 or 5 years, I'll look at again and think like, could have done that better, because that's a sign of growth. It's a sign of progress. And, I don't think you should ever stop learning and stop being hungry like that. When you stop feeling that way, it's time to get out. You can always strive to be better.
Absolutely. And I guess I want to break the ice a little bit, but am I doing all right so far in the Joe Dombrowski playbook right now? Am I going a little too fast? Am I hitting the bullet points?
No,
I got to get the advice while I still got you on the show.
I think you're doing great, because I'll tell you this is you're not following the stereotypical formula where everybody just kind of pulls all their questions off Wikipedia. Like, what was your first memory of wrestling? How did you get in the business? And all those questions are great, but it's tedious when they all start like that. But you went right to the meat of the issue, so I think you're doing a hell of a job.
Thank you. I will say that's something that our constituent Night Owl is drilled into my head. And it was the first couple of shows, you could tell I was just kind of deer in the headlights. And I was like, how'd you get your start in wrestling? He made sure to hit that he's like the 5 questions of doom. I don't know all of them, off the top of my head, but it's always like, who's your favorite wrestler? Who would you like to wrestle with? Where would you like to go in your wrestling career? Which, like you say, is like, it's textbook, but that's a little too old hat for most people who've been doing this for a while. So, especially in Night Owl's case, he'll try to throw curveballs asking about like, what's your favorite kind of music that you wouldn't expect anybody to have on their playlist or stuff like that. So thank you. I made sure I wrote mine down. So I'm going to pull the curtain back here. I got my notes.
You're prepped. I love it.
I try to be. So I guess just to pull it back then. But before I do, Haas, did you have any questions? I feel like I'm getting a little too much out of this right now. I need to pull it back.
Well, we definitely know that, Gabe is truly the MLW expert here when it comes to Wrestle Talk Podcast. I honestly, I admit I don't watch it as much as I would like to. There's just so much wrestling out there right now and so much going on that, you can't hit everything, unfortunately. But, I do try to catch it as much as I can. And, I know that MLW Battle Riot is coming up. And so that's something that the fans can definitely be looking forwards to. So for some that don't know about Battle Riot, what's some of the things that have already been announced that we can be expecting from MLW to Battle Riot?
Well, I'm really excited about Battle Riot for a number of reasons. It's traditionally our most watched event of the year. It's going to be our debut in the Los Angeles market. From what I've been told, we are real close to a sellout. So if you're in the LA area and you're looking to stop by, make sure you do that and make your plans very quickly. But Battle Riot is, for those that don't know, a 40-athlete gauntlet rumble style match. 2 athletes will start. Every 60 seconds, a new randomly drawn wrestler comes in. And you can be eliminated via over the top rope, but also pinfall or submission. And weapons aren't just legal; they at times are encouraged. And it really is a souped up version of what you traditionally know of as maybe a 30-man rumble or a 20-man gauntlet in other organizations. And based on the sheer size and unpredictability and the fact that MLW is not as beholden to long-term contracts as a lot of those other companies. So you can never be entirely sure who's going to show up. There's going to be surprises. There's going to be free agents. There's going to be legends. There's going to be somebody looking to make their presence known. That's why Battle Riot is so fun. And you talked about so much great wrestling out there, and wrestling's hot right now. And I agree with you. That's why I think MLW made a great calculated choice to kind of give you more bang for your buck, for lack of a better term, where you don't have to necessarily invest an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours weekly. But what MLW's been offering is these super shows packaged together, one live, one recorded, usually 2 a month. So we're asking less investment out of the viewer as far as their time, but we're really delivering them more because you have marquee matches every event, whether it's MLW's Finest, CMLL, New Japan, and Battle Riot's going to be much of that same way. You're going to see Luchador 6-man tag team excellence from CMLL. You're going to see athletes from all over the world enter Battle Riot. And for the first time ever here in Battle Riot 7, the winner of Battle Riot automatically becomes the MLW World Heavyweight Champion. Matt Riddle's the defending champion. His title's on the line in Battle Riot. So for many, many reasons, on camera and off, it feels like Battle Riot 7 is going to be a banner event for MLW, could wind up being the most influential and important in our history by the time it's all said and done.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to follow up. You had mentioned Matt Riddle as the defending champion, and considering his, I want to say, mean streak with Eric Bischoff, is there any potential that not only will he have to defend his title in Battle Riot, but defend it in his as the number one position? Now, I don't want you to get yourself in trouble if you have to spoil anything, but is there a potential that he does that? And if he does he actually walk away with the championship? I mean, has anybody actually ever won the Battle Riot from spot number 1? Or is that just sort of a statistic that hasn't happened yet?
Well, it's always possible because of the luck of the draw. And I believe the record for Alex Kane, as far as the longest Battle Riot entrant of all time, I'd have to go back and look at the records and see if he was number 1 or number 2 or number 5 or whatever it was. But I think Alex Kane pushed 55 minutes or so to hold that record and go through and win it. But Matt Riddle's advantage here is that Eric Bischoff's out of the picture. Eric Bischoff's been fired, been removed. Cesar Duran had recovered whatever classified documents that it appeared that Eric was leveraging the company with. And now Cesar Duran is the president of MLW, who, let's be honest, he has his own shady dealings in his history. So you can never be entirely sure what's up there. But I think Matt Riddle's a fighter. He's a competitor, and he'll be ready to go. I wonder what's going to happen if Matt Riddle and Tom Lawler go eye to eye in Battle Riot, because they're buddies, filthy bros together. They're training partners. But Tom Lawler's a former MLW champion. He's a former Battle Riot winner too. So he's not going to just haul his own ass over the top rope. He's going to fight to win as well. So, again, the beauty of it is anything can happen because everybody's looking for a shot in this match.
It's actually funny you mentioned Cesar Duran. Whenever I think of the idea that he's the active president right now, and I think of Battle Royals, I can't help but be reminded of Lucha Underground. And the big thing that takes me back is I'm like, well, it's a 40-man, but who's to stop this man from making it 41? And just who exactly would that be? So I think it's funny you mentioned that he talks about that, weapons are actually encouraged with Battle Riot. I think they're definitely enforced if Cesar Duran is the one running it. He does love violence, so that's something to watch out for Matt Riddle. going forward into Battle Riot. I do think he has the opportunity. I just hope that the Filthy Bros don't have to rely on having to be the last ones, because it's going to be real awkward. It's hard to get in a fight with your bro, especially if it's down to the last people there.
Could be, but hoping they can, if they have to fight it out, they can always retire to their dressing room and engage in some recreational fun and take a load off. You never know. I mean, they were having a lot of fun in Bischoff's office the other week. The
it
cupcake
seemed like my
pizza,
kind of
and it was hazy and smoky. But I mean, I don't know about cupcake pizza though. That may be a little too far for me.
That's a bit out there. I mean, I like pineapple on pizza, but I guess I'm from the moon, so.
Well, nobody's perfect. I'm not going to judge you.
I'm sorry. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Haas? I'm having a gag with this, if you can tell, Joe. I'm just happy to be here.
Good. Me too.
Yeah, definitely. And so, as we mentioned before, you have a very full plate. You are a color commentator, and you do merchandising and content producer, and so you wear so many different hats. Is there anything we can expect to be coming new in the near future from you? Any other hats that you may be putting on or anything?
Any outlets, potentials?
Don't I give enough? Isn't it enough? Excuse me. I'm always looking for next. I'm always looking for new. So you never really know. But yes, actually, now that you say that, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this yet, but I'll at least give you the teaser. I will be having a pretty, as far as I'm concerned, substantially significant debut as a commentator WrestleMania week in Las Vegas. And there'll be an official announcement of that at some point. But I'm pumped about it. It is a place that's certainly been on my radar for many years, been very influential. And I'm going to get a chance to work with people for the first time that I'm a fan of. So that's really cool for me. The first week of May, I'm going to return to the 2300 Arena, and I'm going to be part of something called TWA One and Done, which is basically the final show of the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, which was basically the spiritual predecessor to ECW. It's where Todd Gordon got the idea to start ECW from watching Joel Kennard's TWA, and I've been drafted to be the play-by-play for their final event and tell that final story. I love that Herb Simmons is watching. Herb is great. He's a great partner for so much of what we're doing too. On the DVD end, we just had Ric Flair, Diamonds Are Forever, the most essential rare matches of Ric Flair, put on the market this past week. There's a lot of great content from St. Louis, Kiel Auditorium, Wrestling at the Chase, courtesy of Herb, and from Memphis, from the Meadowlands in Jersey, from all over Kansas City. You can find a lot of that. It's 9 hours of Ric Flair in matches that you've never seen on WWE TV, WCW TV, anything like that. I'm really excited about that. Sales are going really well so far. We are putting out in the next few weeks a retrospective of IWA International Championship Wrestling, which was the very first wrestling company to attempt to go national in 1975, before Vince McMahon, before Jim Crockett. And we're already conceptualizing other ideas for Kansas City, for Roddy Piper, for Chris Colt. Eventually, I want to get to Terry Funk and Kevin Sullivan, and we're talking Dynamite Kid. There's so many rare gems in the business and in video footage that doesn't have a widespread home. And to be able to bring that forward to a new, younger audience, or to an older audience that just hasn't seen it in a long time and wants something to be able to physically hold and physically take care of as a collector's item, is really, really cool. But genuinely, this is not hyperbole. This is not PR speak. But the 3 or 4 months I'm on now, from going back to Qatar in the Middle East to doing all these great shows for JCW and Violent J, to TWA, to WrestleMania Week, to Squared Circle Expo, all of this stuff together, I'm so excited about. And this may be MLW's biggest event in LA. MLW going to Chicago in May, where we set our domestic attendance record. All this together, I am so fortunate to be a part of, and so fortunate to be on this run right now, and I'm just enjoying the ride.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a lot of stuff coming up, and can't wait to see some of it. And the fact that we got a little teaser right here on Wrestle Talk Podcast is absolutely awesome. We love when we get to do stuff like that. So, and Herb Simmons mentioned here that that Cauliflower Alley Club, you're going to be hosting the award ceremony.
Yeah, absolutely. That's every August out at the Plaza Hotel in Las Vegas. It'll be my 3rd year out there. We just announced Mick Foley as receiving the Iron Mike Mazurki Award, which is one of the preeminent top awards every single year. He'll be honored. There's going to be, for the first time ever, a roast, which I'm very curious to see how that's going to shake out. But every year the CAC has grown. Like I said, I was on the phone with Brian Blair earlier. We were talking about how the CAC has been able to give more money out recently than it ever has before, as far as just wrestlers who have fallen on hard times, if it's a surgery they need paid for, if it's their living expenses while they're recovering, if it's their funeral arrangements, after they've passed. The CAC has done so much to help so many brothers and sisters who have fallen on hard times. And I'm privileged to be a part of that. I got to thank Greg Oliver from Slam Wrestling. I got to thank Medusa. They were the 2 big catalysts to get me on board. But it's so cool to be in a place where you get to give back. And obviously, I'm no stranger to celebrating the past. I've been doing it in so many of my products, but to be able to do it in person, face to face, to make a difference, and be one of the faces of at least the ceremony and banquet, if not the company and organization as a whole, it's humbling. It's something I never expected I would be doing, but I'm so proud and honored I get a chance to, because what we do is so important in the wrestling space, in the world today, where things are so tumultuous and things are so divided, and the insurance industry is a complete mess, and there's costs are just through the roof. I mean, to be there with empathy and to extend a hand when somebody's in need, especially somebody that gave us as fans so much watching when we were kids. It's a really, really important thing to do. And I'm, excuse me, I'm honored to be a part of it. Sorry for coughing in your ear, by the way, but I've been sick all week and I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to push the pause button. We've been putting out DVDs. I've been going to the post office. I had to do my taxes. I just came back from a tour of the Southwest. I was just in Las Vegas, in Tucson, in Albuquerque, and I feel like I haven't stopped since. And I got 3 more towns to go to this weekend. Thankfully, they're local, but they're still going to take a lot out of me. So I may only be about 80% right now, but you're getting all I got.
We just appreciate you being here, and it's great that you made it. And talking about Cauliflower Alley Club, I know Wrestle Talk Podcast has been a contributor, or at least a supporter, to the Cauliflower Alley Club in the past. I can't even speak now. I know that the Night Owl, Renee Martinez, is a member. Luke Skywalker Roberts is a member. I know they've both been out to the awards ceremony before. Herb mentions that there's about $80,000 that's been given out. So,
and I believe that's just since the last banquet ceremony in August. We've been going into overtime with a lot that they've been given out. And like I said, I mean, obviously with certain laws and certain, respecting of privacy, we can't give you specific names right now, but, surgeries and treatments and funerals and that type of thing. It's unfortunately, you don't hear about it maybe as much as you could or you should, but the CAC is really down in the trenches, making sure that if you see somebody that's down on their luck or in need of a boost, CAC's there with a check usually.
Yeah, and they are a great organization. So, just happy to be able to bring to light some of the stuff that they do and any chance that we get. But I know Gabe's over there chomping at the bit to ask a few more questions here. So let me throw it back over to him.
Well, I actually have it labeled here because I had the initial interview questions, and then I was like, all right, professionalism aside, I'm ready to geek out about some Major League Wrestling. So if you'll do me the honor, Joe, I've already got these ready to go.
By all means.
So with the amount of people who have already been here since 2024 in terms of signings, Satoshi Kojima, Matt Riddle, Mystico Templario, Barbaro Cavernario, Kushida, Shoko Najima, I have to ask, out of all the signings, even the ones I didn't list, who would you say has been your favorite for MLW and why?
Maybe the obvious answer, but I have to go with Kojima because, again, we're storytellers. What a beautiful story that was to come back home after 20 plus years away. People don't recognize it and realize how much Kojima meant to MLW because Kojima put MLW on the map when we were just in our infancy, our first year. It was Kojima taking that title over to Japan and defending it that made international eyes take a note, that made people realize if Kojima has it, it must be a big deal. Keep in mind, Kojima's held the top titles in New Japan, in All Japan, in Noah. He's done it. If it's a top prize in Japan, Kojima's name is on that list somewhere. So to come home after 20 years, win that title again, take it back to Japan, take it to Mexico, take it all over the world, and to be greeted as a hero and have showers of white bread rain upon you by the fans because they understand and appreciate your bizarre but respectable love of all things bread. It's a beautiful thing. But at the same time, when I think Satoshi Kojima, I almost think, angel and devil on your shoulder, you got to think Minoru Suzuki, right? You got to think Mystico, who is the top drawing luchador maybe of this generation. And so much of the influx of CMLL has helped Major League Wrestling in such a big way. And you look at the youth as well. And I don't know if you have a question tailored to the youth, but you look at talents like Akira and Brett Ryan Gosselin and Janai Kai and how they've taken those opportunities and not just pulled it off, not just survived, but thrived. Hit home run after home run after home run. Delmi Exo, the featherweight champion. And the list goes on and on and on of guys and girls who did not have any background in any TV company until they came here to MLW, but they were able to embrace those surroundings and open up a whole new side of their skill set and now be more valuable, more versatile, better performers, better athletes, better social media presences in every way. They've scored big, and they're the reason why, as great as 2025 is for MLW and 2024 has been, man, what's coming up in 26, 27, and 28? Because it very well may top it.
It's definitely the ones to look out for. I'm actually glad you set me up for that because that was one of the other questions I had. So you talk about a lot of the new talent working their way. See, we're in sync. I'm liking this. And at the top of my head, Donovan Dijak as a new signing. Excuse me. I know he's not necessarily a new talent, but when I think about people who will have a breakout year in 2026 for MLW, what are the names that stand out to you? Because me personally, I know everybody's got a certain way to feel about it. But I definitely think Brett Ryan Gosselin is the one to look out for in MLW going forward because he may be a conniving little coward sometimes, but he's a coward with a mindset. And that is the most dangerous thing that I think you got to worry about when it comes to the terms of professional wrestling. I mean, I think a lot about how he had those guys paid. It's like I didn't even think to do that. They jumped them, and I wasn't even sure how they were going to approach it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with BRG is I think a lot of people when he first came to MLW maybe dismissed him as the stereotypical dumb blonde or the Ken doll wannabe or whatever.
Doesn't give him any favors.
Yeah, well, whatever type of connotation you want to put to it, but BRG, ever since that point, has shown that he is crafty, he's conniving, he's calculated. He can be in a leadership role. He's a great verbalizer, whether he's physically sparring in the ring, whether he's verbally sparring on the mic or on a headset with me. He can always hold his own. And he gets better every time I see him. He gets in better shape. Physically, he is both gaining and losing weight in all the correct places. Mentally, he gets sharper. He gets more confident. He believes in himself more. And that's why I think MLW and Brett is such a perfect marriage. And, say what you want about his attitude. I don't get along with him particularly on the air, but he's a hell of a talent, and you can't take that away from him. Another name that we haven't mentioned yet, Matthew Justice is poised to have a huge year. And Matt's a guy I've known since his first match in Cleveland in 2006 or 7. So I've watched him grow. I've watched him at his best and his worst. And to reign as open weight champion now and to have the fearlessness and the passion that he does puts him in a different category. There's at no point Matthew Justice thinks, no, that's too dangerous, I'll pass. Matthew Justice thinks, okay, that's cool, but how do I jump off of something 10 feet higher? He's always looking to elevate, literally and figuratively, his game.
So I wanted to say, I'm sorry to cut you off. He's not thinking, that's too much. He's already done it. He's already jumped off. It's not a question of, and he's already there. That's it.
He's very impulsive in that way, which can be a blessing or a curse. And speaking of individuals who are dangerous and throw caution to the wind, you look at Contra. Mads Kruger has that contract he can activate. Janai Kai, we've already talked about, and just how devastating she is. Akira Kwan, I think, flies under a lot of radars because of who he surrounds himself with. But he's never been more jacked. He's never been more focused. And Suzuki. And while I wouldn't put him in the category of maybe the face of MLW or maybe poised to break out, keep your eye on Ariel Dominguez, because he's a young kid who is spending time. I think he's in a ring every day of his life, for God's sake, at least every day he's able to, just working out, sparring. There's videos of him in social media in the dungeon, just always doing drills, always doing exercises. And he's got some things working against him. He's a little vertically challenged, 5'3" or so, whatever he is. But he wants it so badly. And you can see that, and you can feel that. And the ones that want it bad enough always find a way and always turn negatives into positives. So I would say keep your eye on him. But to go back full circle, I think Dijak, to your point, has a chip on his shoulder. I think some of his plans in some of the other places he's been have not necessarily gone to his liking through no fault of his own. And I think he's using MLW as a platform to prove that he is that big money main event player. And I think it's inevitable you're going to see his name on top of the cards for a long time coming.
Whether we like it or not.
Bingo.
That's up to the people there. Well, I do want to take an opportunity to mention this because we're staying on the positive, and I try to spin things in a way to make it a little more interesting for the conversation. We talk about the people that we're in favor of. You mentioned a couple people, your Contra, your Brett Ryan Gosling, your Rogue Horsemen's. So, we have the wrestlers that we like here in MLW. Is there anybody that you have a severe disdain or dislike of? Because there's one name that comes to mind, and I guess I just want to hear your opinion on him because it's been a while, and I don't want him to bust you up the next time so you can get that dirty laundry out. What's the deal with Sami Callihan? The man seems very fixated on taking the mic away from you and roughing you up, and you're just doing your job. So I just got to know.
That's just Sami. Like, that's the guy I've known for 17 years now. You can say what you want about whoever, but that's not a guy who has to quote unquote get into character. Sami's just always been loud, opinionated, in your face, not the most sanitary. And listen, I've been on Sami's good side. I've been on Sami's bad side. He's been on my good side. He's been on my bad side. We have a very complicated, layered relationship over the years. But respect the hell out of him for what he does in the ring. Respect the hell out of him for what he does, with Wrestling Revolver and everywhere he's gone and the things he's doing now in TNA. Hell of a talent, unique, different. Nobody else like him. I would prefer him 100 feet or more away from me at all times. Just my preference. Have not gotten that through the court system yet. But haven't seen Sami in a while. And if I do see him again, maybe I'll get one of those old Michael Cole coal mines to protect me. I'm not really sure. Find a way to get away from him and all of the various bodily fluids that have wound up near me when he blows snot rockets and spits.
I can't watch his matches without gagging. It's just so it's a guttural reaction from me because it's like you said. I don't know that he plans those spots. I think he just kind of lets it happen and lets the spit land where it goes. So
trust me, I can guarantee you, gentlemen, there is no point in the history of my career where I ever said, hey, Sami Callihan, yes, it is okay to blow your snot on my expensive suit. That conversation didn't happen. If it did happen, then I was either asleep or had some earbuds in or something, because that is not something that crosses my desk for approval or denial. But we're live, pal. So if it happens, it happens, and it's my job to roll with the punches. And
you get quite a few punches on you, though. I mean, I can't help but be reminded of even just with Tom Lawler with Barbara Cavernario. I mean, how do you take the licks and keep on kicking? I guess is what I'm saying, because I have yet to even take a wrestling chop yet, and you get a little roughed up out there just trying to do your job, asking people some questions. Like they almost want to make an example out of you when you already have the example made of it.
It's unfortunate, but it comes with the territory. It's dangerous. It's not the easiest work, but as Gene Okerlund used to say when people picked on him, I got a fleet of lawyers, pal. You get your hands off of me. And I'll get the last word on Sami Callihan, though. I always do, because he'll get my dry cleaning bill.
Just tell him his mustache is crooked. I can't help but be reminded of that. Just anytime Mean Gene would spit back, it was just kind of like, oh, you can push me, but I'll push back just a little bit harder. And exactly. in the fates where I'll hurt your feelings, not your body.
Gene was the best, one of a kind. There'll never be another one.
Absolutely. So I guess if I just have one last to mention here before we jump into something, because Haas, I believe, has something planned here for the last half of the show. But I guess I just need to take an opportunity to mention them because I got their flag sitting right around here. But Joe, what exactly does MLW plan to do about Contra Unit? I mean, we know that like their leader, Mads Kruger, has an opportunity, and it's at his calling. So, I mean, even if somebody like Riddle, retains his championship in Battle Riot, what's to stop somebody like him from just cashing in and taking the title? What does MLW do when a majority of their gold has already been held by this group? And I use that term very loosely, when their world title is being held by somebody as vicious and as dangerous and as unhinged as one Mads Kruger does.
That's a good question. And the answer, quite simply, is stay tuned. For those unaware or don't watch the show, Mads Kruger has basically developed an army, a death squad of soldiers that have infiltrated Major League Wrestling, and the goal is to weaken it, to break it down, to destroy it from within, and to rebuild it in Contra's own image, and essentially do a militarized, hostile takeover. And they've made a hell of a lot of ground. Former women's featherweight champion, tag team championships, very, very nearly the MLW world title. Kojima had a fireball thrown in his face and nearly escaped defeat. Barely escaped serious injury, barely escaped defeat. So now Kruger won something called the Gravity Gamble, which happened at King's Coliseum in January. First of its kind matchup. 5 briefcases hanging. Only one has the title shot. And it's up to you to find which one it is. And whoever finds it won it. Kruger happened to be that guy. But the only way that you can stop them is stand up and fight. And it's what Akira's done. It's what Kojima's done. It's what Okamura's done. It's what Matthew Justice has done. The people that appreciate what MLW brings, the freedom to be yourself, the platform to be seen on a worldwide stage, the ability to not be under the thumb of corporate bureaucracy or billionaires, to do your own thing, to be, a rebel and an outcast and still be in the bright lights of a major wrestling company. MLW is the best of both worlds. And if Contra wins, a lot of that goes away, and a lot of those spots go away. And Kruger has put himself in a position where he's pretty damn untouchable at this point. The only thing left for anybody to do is watch your back and be ready to fight at a moment's notice, because nobody's safe, and that's twice as important, and that's twice as vital in Battle Riot 7, because the eyes of the world will be watching, and that title's going to hang in the balance no matter what. 39 different people think they're going to leave that building in Los Angeles first Saturday in April with that title in their bag. Only one of them's right. That might not be one of the 39. It could be the defending champion, Matt Riddle.
I'm definitely hoping it is. I'm probably one of the few that does believe from the bottom of my heart that Riddle is going to walk away with that championship. He did everything in his power to get it to where he has now, and I don't think he would hinge himself if he wasn't confident that he could take it all the way. And
maybe, but you have a Contra flag, so why should I trust you? They've infiltrated this show too, so who knows if your intentions are genuine?
I feel like Joe needs to see my my Arsene makeup, Hardcore Haas, to form a second opinion on this.
I'm curious but frightened.
That's the ideal for Gabriel Arsene. No, but with that taken care of, I just want to say thank you, Joe, for being able to help me geek out a little bit, to have this opportunity to sort of play interviewer with a very big part of MLW. As a fan, as somebody who stays tuned and watches your content, I love it, and I love knowing that I can contribute to it in some way, and just be like, the next show, I'd be like, I talked to that guy, I contributed to this, I pushed for Battle Riot, Gabriel Arsene believed in it. It's still real to me, damn it, Joe. It's still real to me.
Well, I mean, that's what matters. It's always as real as you want it to be. And the fact that there's passionate people out there like you who are that invested into it and speak with a passion, and so much on the internet these days. It's not just in wrestling, but wrestling's certainly a part of it. Just mired with negativity, and I've never seen anything like it. But it's familiarity breeds contempt, right? You get so close to something that eventually, at least in terms of many people out there, you start to maybe get a little bit jaded or a little bit numb to it all, I guess. I don't know. There's been no point where I saw a television show that I was so uninterested in that I decided to post about multiple times a day, every day for the next years. Never have I turned on American Idol and I thought like, oh, none of these guys are good enough. I'm going to post about this every single day. But wrestling fans do that, and I don't understand that. And I go out of my way to not be that. If I don't like a product, why am I going to talk about it? Why am I going to watch it? Why am I going to let it anger me? I always focus on the things I enjoy, whether it be as a broadcaster in a professional setting, whether it be my own projects digging through footage, or whether it's just what I'm watching on my downtime. I like spreading that positive energy and amplifying something that I enjoy, because maybe somebody will see my posts, seek it out, and see something they never thought they'd see, or see something that they can use in their matches, or who knows? I could just take them down a different rabbit hole of something that they weren't going to give a second chance to, but now they're a fan. And that's the key to being a great fan of whatever you're into, is amplify what you love. Tell people why you love it, because wrestling is not going to grow and get bigger by telling everybody the things you hate about it.
If we could just get that to play on loop, I think the internet will finally get its stuff together.
I don't know. They have a pretty low reading capacity, so that might not be. We have to slow it down and closed caption it.
Yeah. Every language available, including sign language and flag. I think as soon as we figure that out, maybe we can start getting people to think. But with that all taken care of, Hardcore Haas, did you want to take the opportunity to ask Joe, or do you mind if I do it? I mean, I know we had something special here lined up before we close out the show, because we've been going at this for a while, Joe. And as much as I would love to ask you all the questions that I've had for another 3 hours or so, there's something I think I'd love to do even more.
Well, actually, I hate to disappoint you there, Gabrielle, but unfortunately, our production team was unable to get the game show together tonight. So we do not have a game show challenge today.
No, I quit. Okay, no, I'm done. So unfortunately, we had something that we call the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Quiz Show Challenge, in which we have a series of questions that we have our guest challenge one of our members here today, hopefully me, to seeing if they can beat them in a best of 3. So unfortunately, Joe, we do not have that available for you tonight, even though I was ready, willing, and able to take this questionnaire.
Well, I guess we got to take a rain check on it then, and I'll have to come back.
I mean, I can come up with some off the fly about MLW for Hardcore Haas, but I think that'd be a hard sweep.
I was going to say that would be a very unfair advantage.
Don't you want our guest to come back?
Well, see, this is perfect. He can come back to accept your challenge. So we'll have to have a part 2 to it.
Well,
but,
then
one thing I did want to say though is one name that I've heard you mention several times that I actually have had the privilege of not just seeing in MLW, but I have actually seen him live. I saw him when I believe it was his first deathmatch tournament. I'm actually here in West Virginia, and it took place here in West Virginia, is Akira. And, he is a really good talent, and I hope to see more of him. And I'm glad to see him doing big things and moving up in the world. So I like seeing more out of him. So hopefully we will definitely be seeing more out of him in the future, and just a lot more good things to come for him.
Yeah, I'm a big Akira guy, and I think he's one of those guys who it's really hard to define his connection and his bond with his fans. Some of it's obvious, the toll he takes on his body, certainly, but there's some kind of just an unspoken connective tissue that makes people believe in him and makes people relate to him and makes people get behind him. And that's a really special, unique quality that he has. And I'm happy for him that he's making the most of it. I wasn't there physically, but I was on the call New Year's Eve for Big Japan Pro Wrestling in Kurikan Hall when Akira was, the king of the deathmatch tournament. And the fact that he went all the way, the fact that he went to the finals, the fact that he was the king, the fact that he and Daiju Wakamatsu were in the final round, spoke volumes about how beloved he is and how respected he is in that deathmatch community in Japan, in Korakuen Hall, which has decades of history to it. You don't walk into Korakuen Hall and win the main event because you had a good day or because you're friends with the right person. That's something that you have to work years and years to even earn the opportunity to come near. So Akira killing it in Japan right now. He's over there right now. Much love to him. And I would say I hope he's doing safe, but I think he and I have very different definitions of what safe is. So I'll just say I hope he can walk without pain.
I wanted to add, not just, winning in the main event of Korakuen Hall, winning King of the Deathmatch in Korakuen Hall. It's like, Haas, you call yourself hardcore, you got to check out some of these death matches they have in Japan. They do not stop these things. These are just, it takes a very hardcore individual to do some of the things that people like Akira do in a nighttime. But it's staggering all the otherwise.
Well, I read they had 2,000 light tubes in Korakuen Hall that night. And after watching that broadcast and doing all 6 hours and 10 minutes of that broadcast, I fully believe that. So more power to them.
I do have a bit of an alternative I wanted to suggest if you do me the honor, Joe. Just because I still have a couple things on my notepad here, and I figure we could try to close out the show with something before we wrap up here, if that's all right with you.
Hey, you're steering the ship. I'm in the passenger seat. I'm enjoying the scenic tour right now. I'm just, as Tracy Smothers would say, I'm just hanging out, man. Can't change the world. You know what I mean? So you do your thing. I trust you implicitly with my life.
I'm going to play that. I'm going to count that going to sleep. But
with your counter flag, though. I see. I'm a little torn by
that. It'll be right by my bedside. No, but I have a list of matches here that, are my personal recommendations for anybody trying to get into MLW. You can check out their YouTube channel, folks. They have a lot of it. I believe they have a membership now, but it's really only a few dollars, and you're able to catch a lot of their full pay-per-view events. I'm trying to think. Summer of Beast, Kings of Colosseum, the previous Battle Riots. You have Pit Fighters. Just be sure to check them out at YouTube. You can also find them, I believe, on Instagram and X. But I have a list of matches here that I wanted to suggest out here. And I guess I just wanted to give your, first thought that comes to mind, or what rating you would give it. The old Joe Bob Briggs of the 4 stars. Check it out. And what people should think about the match. If you do me the honor, sir.
I'll do my best.
Alrighty, so I got a couple to start here, and this was one of the matches that actually got me into MLW to begin with, but that is Matt Riddle versus Jacob Fatu, Kings of Colosseum 2024.
Hell of a fight. I think we had just uploaded that on the free portion of our YouTube not too long ago for people to check out. That was a statement for Riddle to come in out of the chute, because Jacob Fatu, the world knows what a beast he is now. MLW fans have known that for the past 4 years or so. Just a freak of nature as an athlete. That was, bittersweet in a way, because you look at it in hindsight as almost a changing of the guard as Riddle ascends, and Fatu, I think, had about a month left in his Major League Wrestling run at that point. But hell of a fight, and established Riddle right away. And without that, maybe Riddle's run doesn't have the momentum it does.
Now I got Akira versus Akuro Kwan, Taipei Death Match, Pit Fighters.
I think that is, depending on what kind of fan you are, that's going to be an acquired taste. It wouldn't be something I would show a layman off the streets, but it is definitely something I would show the deathmatch fan or the hardcore fan. It's a great example of Akira's heart and his tenacity and his ability to fight through just stupid, crazy amounts of pain. And better him than me. But as a visual, as a spectacle, not something I'll forget anytime soon.
My own personal note for that match is a Taipei Death Match got a "This is awesome" chant. So when do you hear that in 2025 of all things?
I mean, awesome is one of a number of words to describe it. But yeah, they held nothing back. They gave it their all, and it's why I say you can't sleep on Kwan either. Even though he maybe doesn't get the same headlines as a Suzuki or a Kruger, but guy's tough as hell.
Now, with the approach of it, I want to take the opportunity to remind everybody, but Battle Riot 6.
Yeah, I a few moments jump out at this to me. And
was it Arachnaman?
Arachnam. Can I legally say that? But I'll tell you, that was a moment, and certainly the whole saga with Paul Walter Hauser and Tom Lawler was very interesting to follow along with. My personal favorite moment was watching Jimmy Yang.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned it. Yeah, John Haas. I don't know if you remember Jimmy Yang. He made his return at Battle Riot. I was so happy, and he still got it. His daughter's still wrestling, right?
Yeah, Jazzy Yang. But Jimmy's a friend of mine. We've known each other for a lot of years. He's one of those guys you talk to and you think, yeah, he might be too nice for wrestling. You know, that's the kind of guy he is. I mean that as a compliment. No, Jimmy was nervous before that match because he's used to doing the sports entertainment shtick. You know, he's used to being the redneck cowboy lately, and not doing Young Dragon Yang, not doing Ring of Honor Yang, not doing Akio, not doing any of that stuff. So for him to go in there and mix it up with the luchadors and still just smooth as water out there, it was such a cool moment to watch him do that once again and rise to the occasion. And he just got announced today for WrestleCon, so I'll see him in Vegas next month. I get to see him again.
Can you tell him I said hi?
For a price. We'll see. We'll negotiate.
We'll talk after the show. No, just want to mention a couple other personal favorite moments of mine from Battle Riot 6. Ernest the Cat Miller. Just to have that. And then Paul Walter Hauser. I mean, I know he's sort of made his mark here in MLW, and we're definitely not going to see the last of him after, the last show we had. But it was so insane to see somebody like that and then just show up, and he put his wrestling boots on that night. He really, I honestly thought he could have gone all the way if he didn't get eliminated. I think he had a genuine shot at getting at least to the Final Four.
Well, I mean, anybody could go all the way if they're not eliminated. That's kind of how the match works.
I mean, that's
but
true.
I understand what you're saying. What we're talking about though with Jimmy Yang and with Ernest Miller, and I mean Scotty Riggs in the match too, the American male, it really just underscores what we've been talking about, and that's how unpredictable this match is. And this year there's going to be a Jimmy Yang and a Ernest Miller and a Scotty Riggs, but we have no idea who it's going to be. And that's the absolute fun part about it. And to watch them in the mix with the Riddles and the Alex Kanes and the Kojimas and all of the present day stars, you're going to get matches that you never even thought about wanting to see. Who would have ever thought about seeing Jimmy Yang mix it up with Mystico, But you get that in MLW because it's kind of just an amalgamation of everything great about pro wrestling.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's to me is what the appeal of MLW was, and why because I had never, full transparency, I had never actually watched much of the product until Kings of Colosseum. I was a very big fan of Riddle, and I had heard he had faced with Jacob Fatu, and I'm like, okay, I think I got to check out this match. And then I found the show, and I just sat in for the ride. I was like, all right, MLW, what you got? And then it was a snack bag of everything I could have wanted in wrestling. I had my Technicos, I had my Lucha Libre, I had my Hardcore, and I had my main eventers and our classic good old sports edutainment. And I became a fan ever since. And I think I advise most people to watch MLW just because I think it's the most giving of a product, where it feels the most like that classic ECW, where it's sort of the underdog, but it's an underdog that's got its bark in the fight, so to speak, where, they know their strengths and they cover their weaknesses, and the product is way more impressive as a result. And the people that they use to their full effectiveness. I'll be honest, I trust you guys more with Shinsuke Nakamura than I trust AEW, but I don't want to lose out on any opportunities we have here in the future.
Well, I think the beauty of it too is MLW, our mantra is styles make fights. And we don't have a company style, and we don't expect anybody to wrestle a certain way. We want the luchadors to give you authentic CMLL Lucha Libre. We want the Japanese stars, the Kentas and the Kojimas and the Suzukis, to give you that Japanese strong style. We want Riddle and Lawler to lean into their mixed martial arts roots. We want everybody to be the best authentic version of them possible. Not just because it's going to bleed through in the product and make the product better, but also because wrestling in itself is at its best when it's a variety show. You can't watch the same thing for 3 hours, but you can get something for everybody. And if you don't like the Lucha Libre match, you'll like the death match. If you don't like that, you'll like the catch wrestling match. If you don't like that, then you'll like the wild tag team match. You'll like the battle riot. You'll like the stipulation match. Whatever the case is, if you're a fan of wrestling, I challenge you to watch an MLW premium live event, super show, whatever you want to call it, and not find something that you can embrace. I think it's there.
I challenge you. I dare you to not be entertained watching MLW. Now, I just want to take this opportunity because I think we're almost at the closing ends of our show here tonight, Joe. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you for this opportunity. Just not just as somebody as the Wrestle Talk podcast, but as somebody who is still getting into the wrestling business, to just have an opportunity to talk with you for an hour has just. I'm going to remember this moment for a long time. And if it puts us on good graces, I will burn this flag. All right.
I don't know if I trust you handling fire. Please make sure you're supervised.
They call me Arsene for a reason.
A responsible adult.
Got him. Got him.
You just had to get one, Haas, didn't you? You just take this moment for me, huh? All right. Just solo shot. Egg on my face, ladies and gentlemen. This face right here.
Hey, I didn't do anything,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Your hand just happened to be there. But
Joe, we definitely want to thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time, and I hate to cut Gabe off, but we want to be respectful of your time. And if we don't cut him off, he'll probably still have you here at 3:00 in the morning or something, because he can go on forever, believe me. So, just thank you for being here. But before we let you go, we definitely want to ask you, please promise us that you will come back and see us again, because this has been a wonderful interview, but I feel there's so much more that we can get into and just so much more to talk about.
I have to come back. I have asses to beat in trivia. We've talked about this. My work here is not done yet. And, so we're going to have to make that happen at some point. And, may the best man win. We'll see.
That is definitely true. And also, before we let you go, please just shout out any social media you may have, where our fans can find you, and where can they see you next?
Yeah, well, I mean, where can't you see me, right? You can check out my personal website is joe-dombrowski.com. I try to keep my schedule updated. I'm not very good at it, but I do have tons of great DVDs for sale, most of which I'm on in some form or fashion. And you can also check out prowrestlinglibrary.com for my VOD web store. We have about 500 hours of content and growing every week for sale there. All the stuff I mentioned earlier just is up there. Ric Flair compilation, Brian Pillman Memorial shows, Von Erich's at the Chase we did with Herb Simmons, so much more on there. That if you're a historian or whatever kind of wrestling you like, again, you'll find something there that you will enjoy. You can look me up on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, and all those links should be on those websites as well. And don't forget Battle Right 7, Los Angeles, first Saturday in April. Check it out on YouTube, 100% free on the MLW social channel. You can't get a better deal than free. It's our biggest event. There's going to be a lot of important eyes watching us that night, so anything can happen. And world title on the line, 40 people fighting for it. All bets are off. And I hope you guys are watching live too.
Definitely going to have to be checking that out. We know Gabe will be there, but I'll definitely have to make it a point to check that out. And the rest
I think Gabe's going to be outside the company hotel just stalking us at this point.
Well, now I feel awkward asking my next question. I was going to say when you guys are going to come back to Florida, but now you're making me out to be this stalker.
Okay. No, I'm happy. I thought your next question was going to be my home address.
What is it though? No,
I'll give it to you after the last 4 digits of my social. I don't know when we're coming back to Florida. I know we had planned to be there last fall, but it was derailed, unfortunately, by Hurricane Helene. And I'm not really sure if we have a return date there or not, or if any of the after effects of that storm had affected that decision. But I loved it down there. I really could have used another trip down to Florida these past couple months with some of these single-digit degree temperatures up here in Pittsburgh. But I love my Florida fans, and hope we can be back down there sooner than later. If I had any stroke about it, I'd put in a word. But I just go where they tell me and get on the plane and hope it lands in the right destination.
Well, at this point, let me tell you, I think next time you're in Florida, we may not be able to put in for press credentials for Gabe because I'm not sure that you guys would give them to him at this point.
It's because of the flag, isn't it? I had to show this thing off again, didn't I?
Listen, a couple dozen restraining orders aren't permanent, okay? You can always work around that and redeem yourself. And just because you hide behind the dumpster, behind the hotel, doesn't mean you're not pushing to get a good story. You're just an Orthodox. I understand you. We're kindred spirits.
So, definitely, Joe, thank you for being here. We really appreciate your time. And, lastly, I want to welcome you to our Wrestle Talk Podcast family because we truly do value each and every member of our Wrestle Talk family, and we value the fact that you gave us this opportunity to speak with you, and just thank you. So,
well, thank you for saying that. All the best families are a little bit dysfunctional, so I think I'm gonna fit right in here.
Well, we've got Gabe, so what do you expect?
Bingo. You got it.
So, Gabe, any last words before we let him go?
I mean, I think we've already said enough, but just for the sake of it, just thank you, Joe. Just for the young lion with the old soul to have an opportunity like this in my professional career, as small it has been, this is just a dream come true. And I really do hope it leads to more opportunities. And even now, I'm grateful for this one here. So just, if it means much, you've made this MLW's fans' dreams come true. So thank you.
I'm glad
that sounds.
I'm glad I could live up to your lofty expectations. I've let a lot of people down in my life, but you're not one of them. So I got at least that going for me. Thank you for saying that.
All right. Well, we'll let you go, Joe. Thank you very much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Dombrowski.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you.
I'm still shaking. I don't know if you guys can see this, the goosebumps, man. I'm still smiling. Like I'm inherently smiling without noticing it. That's how excited I was, man. This is like just an hour and a half of Gabe being a goober. It's going to be like evidence in my court case. This guy was really cool. No, he wasn't. He was geeking out over MLW for hundreds of people to see.
Well, I think we already have requests in from Joe's people to send footage so he can use it in restraining orders against you. So,
All right, laugh it up.
But
just pile it
on.
This is why I agree with Cena. All right.
But yeah, it has been another great show. I've really enjoyed it. Another great guest, and it's just always a good time when you and I get together on here. So it's been great. We want to thank everybody before we get out of here. Once again, we want to thank our great sponsors. We want to thank Retro Zone, Painter's Dream Productions, Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, Interstate 70 Sports Media. Of course, that's Jeremy Carp and the guys. Be sure to go check them out. Little Popeye's Designs. You get your very own Wrestle Talk Podcast tumbler, just $25. Get your name on it and everything. Just hit one of us up. We'll be glad to set you up with it. And the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to check them out on Facebook. If you have any questions about them, hit up Gabe, hit up myself, hit up Dewan, hit up Renee, any one of us. We'll be more than happy to tell you about it, and we'll get you in there. And, thank you, Herb. We appreciate you, appreciate everything that you do for the wrestling community and everything you do for Wrestle Talk Podcast as well. All your support means everything to us, as does the support from all of our Wrestle Talk Podcast family. And also with our sponsorships, don't forget, you can become a fan sponsor right now. Susie Haas is our only fan sponsor. If you want to be one, hit us up, let us know. We'll get you information on that. And be sure to send us some stars from Facebook if you're watching from Facebook. And, use those hashtags, hashtag WTP, hashtag Let's Talk Wrestling. And I think that about covers it. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Hardcore Haas, Gabriel Arsene, and for Luke Skywalker Roberts, Jeremy Carp, Renee Night Owl, Nightmare Jones,
Big Daddy P,
Dewan, Big Daddy P, for
Joe Dombrowski, MLW, WWE, the wrestling world as we know it. No, I'm piling on. This has been episode 511, ladies and gentlemen. Gabriel Arsene and Hardcore Haas are out.